never lied before? Okay. Who out of just raised your hand was lying when you raised your hand? Okay. Who here has ever been accused of anything, however small? So, you know by that, but it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Maybe your palms get sweaty, or you get fidgety, maybe your cheeks heat up. This is because it's very difficult for humans to lie. Humans naturally express emotion. Now, when they're stressed, because of their lying or any other reason, these emotions get heightened, more strengthened, stronger. However, when under stress, people do try to suppress these, and they try to overcompensate for the strength of the feeling. However, whether this be in facial expressions, or body language, or verbal expressions, there will always be either a visible or audible, some sort of bodily reaction that is visible, at least for a moment. And this is the basis of lie detecting. Over the past year, I have been studying emotions, lying, and lie detecting. I found many different methods of lie detecting in my research. Of course, in the time that I have today, I can't go over nearly all of them. So if anybody is interested, you can come to me after the presentations this evening, and I would be glad to give anybody a copy of my research paper. I've always loved psychology. I've always loved watching people's faces, watching people interact with other people, and trying to figure out whether their reactions in the moment are true to the moment. Before I continue, I would just like to say, after this presentation, you won't be an expert on lie detecting. You won't be able to control any of these or all of these reactions, so don't try this at home. Out of the main 6 emotions, contempt, anger, sadness, happiness, disgust, and fear, each expression manifests differently on the different facial features. Within each expression, however, the emotion will show on the facial features the same universally. This means throughout all ages, all cultures, anything, the same facial muscles will be affected by the same emotion. People cannot hide these, as I said, though people do try to suppress them. And in facial expressions, this makes micro-expressions, meaning the split second before the person regains conscious control of their face, you will see the true emotion on their face of what they're feeling. For example, here you see an example of contempt. As you can see, the main indicator of contempt is in the lips. The main indicator is the unilateral movement of the lips. Seemingly, this could be from some angles similar to happiness and similar to a smile, especially from profile view, when you can't tell that it's a unilateral movement. However, how you can tell the difference is the tenseness that you can see in the corner of the lip. Next, on your right, you will see an expression of fear. Now, the most obvious signs, can't see that. The most obvious signs of fear are in the eyebrows and in the mouth. The eyes will widen drastically, the eyebrows will rise, and the eyebrows will make very tense linear shapes. The mouth as well is very tense. It will be drawn back from the lips, drawn back from the corner of the lips, making the lips taut over the teeth. Now on your left, you see an expression of surprise. See the similarities between surprise and fear. Also in surprise, the main indicators are the eyebrows and the lips. Again, in surprise, the eyes widen and the eyebrows will rise. However, here the eyebrows rise in gentle arc shapes. Also, with the mouth, it is much less tense than the expression in fear. It will be flat and oftentimes slightly open or wide open. Now, when a person is asked a question, depending on where their eyes go, you can tell what is going on in their mind. For example, looking up and to the left indicates visual imagery construction. So if someone is asked to describe a scene or a place that they were supposed to be, however were not, they will look up and to the left, you looking at them up and to the left, visually constructing this image in their mind, thus faking it, making up something. Another example is looking down to the right. If someone is under stress and looks down and to the right, you can tell that they have some sort of internal dialogue going on. Now, I would like to bring up someone from the audience as a subject for some intense interrogation. You seem enthusiastic. Why don't you come? Absolutely, why not? Everyone, this is Dylan Manning. Thank you for your help. So body language is extremely telling when observing a subject. This is in their legs, their feet, their hands, their head, their fingers, everything. This is everything you have to watch. There are many hand gestures, and these, like microexpressions, are caused by natural chemical reactions in the body, so they're not conscious decisions, at least for the first split second. Now, there are many hand gestures. One of these is covering of the mouth or the face. This is instinct to cover the lie. She doesn't want to get caught, so she's trying to hide the lie as best as possible. Now, this also manifests in rubbing or touching or scratching of anything around the mouth. So the ears, the neck, the eyes, the nose, anything like that. Thank you. An example of this is Bill Clinton, who, when being questioned about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky, touched his nose 88 times. People carrying bags or coffee cups or really any object will, when they're stressed, bring the object close to themselves and between themselves and whatever is making them uncomfortable, whoever they're lying to, as some sort of protective wall. It makes them feel better about lying or more protected from the person who's interrogating them. People have a hard time controlling their legs, especially when they're not making conscious decisions to pay attention to them. And if I'm interrogating Dylan, she will be paying attention to what she's saying and what's going on in her face, as she thinks that that is what I'm going to be paying attention to. So distressed leg movements is a great indicator of dishonesty. Feet often face in the direction of that which they want. So I'm here interrogating Dylan. It is most likely her feet will be pointing away from me and towards some potential exit, because if I'm making her uncomfortable, she wants to leave. Sorry. Lastly, mixed signals. So if someone's facial expressions and body language, or what they're saying in their body language, or any mixture of these things do not match, you can tell that there's something not right with their story. And you want to trust the body language. So if I'm interrogating Dylan, she's telling me about a beautiful evening she had. She took a walk on the beach, she had some great Italian food, she had a cocktail, great evening. She's saying this with great happiness on her face, her words are very happy. However, I see that her legs are moving very distressingly and she has clenched fists, miming, cracking knuckles. I'm going to trust the body language and trust that this story does not hold up to the happiness that she's expressing in her face and in her words. There are countless verbal indicators. People will go out of their way to avoid lying. People will do this by avoiding the question you ask them. So I would not do that is not the same as I did not do that. To tell if a story has gone from truthful, you inspect the pronoun changes and the tense changes. When they want to distance themselves from something, they will use pronouns that distance themselves. For example, if they say my car, they want to take ownership of the car. However, if they say the car, they want to distance themselves from the car. An example of this is Susan Smith, who, when describing her travels with her children, referred to it as my car. However, when she described seeing the car submerge into the water with her 2 children inside, she referred to it as the car. So, in verbal analysis, you have to pay attention to tense changes, pronouns used, and whether they actually answer the question that you posed for them. So when I'm questioning Dylan, watch for these things. Have you done your homework that's due tomorrow?
I did homework last night.
Have you ever shoplifted? I would never do that. And have you ever cheated on your husband? No, I'm not cheating on my husband. Thank you. So for the first question, she answered, yes, I did homework last night. It answers if she did homework, however, it does not answer my question, which was, have you done the homework that is due tomorrow? She seemingly answered it, however, did not actually answer my question. With the second question, she answered, I would never do that. Like I said, I would never do that is not the same as I have not or I did not do that. The third question, she answered, I am not cheating on my husband. This takes into consideration only the present moment, not if she ever has cheated on her husband or her intentions for the future. We all have internal dictionaries, meaning words we use on a daily basis, the most common words we use. However, under stress, these internal dictionaries will change. Most of the time we will adopt from whoever's interrogating us, whoever's speaking to us, making us uncomfortable, or anybody else around us, or we will just say the first word that comes to mind, usually not the word that we would usually say. I, as an interrogator, would have asked Dylan control questions, meaning questions that have nothing to do with what I'm interrogating her about, so she has no reason to be stressed, and it gives me a baseline of how she is normally as a person. Now, from these control questions, I know that she refers to car as car and house as home. Now, Dylan, what did you do Sunday evening?
On Sunday evening, I left my house in my car, went to the gym, I worked out, and then I was going back to my car, and I ran into Helen, and Helen was like, do you want to go to a party? And I said, I don't go to parties on school nights. And so I immediately took my automobile, my Bugatti, back to my dwelling.
Was there traffic on your way home?
No, my smooth car got me there, right past us, very easily.
And about what time did you get home, would you say?
8:22 to my place.
Great. So, from my control questions, I know that she usually refers to car as car and house as home. However, at some point in the story, she changed from saying car to automobile, vehicle, Bugatti, and from home to house to place of living to abode to etc. So I can tell where in the story it went from true to false because of that. Thank you, Dylan. Can we have a hand? So there are countless methods of lie detecting and countless other indicators within these categories that I gave examples from. Again, please don't try this at home. Don't say, Simone taught me how to lie. You won't be able to control all of these things. I would like to thank Ms. Christofides for helping me bring together this speech, Dylan for your impeccable acting, my class for being so enthusiastic when I asked over and over if it was true that you really did like mushrooms, my